Welcome to the LLBLGen Pro QuickStart videos. In this video, I'll show you how to get a database and source code starting from scratch in 5 easy steps. This is called Model First. First, I'll create a new project and add a relational model data container for our database. Then, I'll create an entity model using QuickModel, followed by creating a database and tables in SQL Server. After that, I'll generate source code from the created entity model. And I'll conclude with using the generated code in a simple .NET application. Let's start with the first step, creating a project. This is the LLBLGen Pro Designer. To create a project, click the New Project button. I give the project a name, specify the creator and the location to save the project file. Then I choose the ORM to use for this project. You can switch to another anytime later on if you want. As initial contents, I'll pick the Model First choice, Relational Model Data Container for a database. When the project is created, based on the choice I just made, the selector for the database type pops up. I'll be targeting SQL Server, so I pick the SQL Server driver and click OK. I now have a relational model data container for SQL Server in my project. Let's go to step 2. In this step, I'll create an entity model from scratch by using the designer's QuickModel editor. To create entities for your entity model, you have various choices. Right-click the Entities node in the Project Explorer, select New Entity in the Project menu, or use the QuickModel editor. QuickModel is a sophisticated editor with simple commands to create new elements in the model. If you're unfamiliar with the syntax, you can get in-editor help. QuickModel works by creating new elements for any name that's not present in the current scope. Here I create 2 entities and a relationship with a single statement. By changing the scope to the customer entity, I can now add fields. QuickModel simplicity also allows it to be used during interviews with stakeholders. This way you can immediately use the notes of the interview to create your model. QuickModel is just another view on the entity model, like the Project Explorer and the Entity Editor. To illustrate this, I'll add the next field in the regular Entity Editor. Going back to QuickModel shows the added zip code field in the entity. We are now ready to create a database and tables. On to step 3. Now that we have an entity model, it's time to create a database and its tables. First, I'll create relational model data in our project by using the sync feature. Sync will update the relational model data in the project with the changes made to our entity model. After we've run the sync task, the designer shows a log of the changes it made to the relational model data. For each entity, it created a table with fields and a primary key, and for each relationship, a foreign key constraint. Additionally, it also created all entity mappings for us. This is the Mappings tab, which shows the newly created mappings. To create a database and table definitions, I will generate a DDL SQL create script. I specify the destination for the script and execute the code generation task. Here in SQL Server Management Studio, I have opened the generated script. It will create a new catalog and all the tables and constraints. After executing the script, the database server now contains our new catalog and tables. It's now time to generate code so we can use it in our application. Choose Generate Source Code from the project menu or press F7. The first time you generate code in a project, you have to configure the process. Let's do that by editing the task. I'll use Net Standard 1.6 as the target platform and specify the destination folder for the generated code. It will be created automatically. Now that the task is configured, we can start it to generate our source code. An extensive log has been produced to tell you what files have been created. Let's have a look at these generated files. I'm going to use these in our .NET application in the final step. We'll create a simple command line application called Console App. This application will insert a graph of entities in our new database. Here we are in Visual Studio with our solution containing 3 projects, our 2 generated projects and Console App. As we're using Entity Framework Core, a small partial class has to be added to pass the connection string to the framework. This partial class will not be overwritten next time you generate code. I define the references for Console App. We don't need to do this for the generated code. Now that Console App is all set up, we can write the actual code. Let's compile our work and run it. And here are the results we were after. This concludes our Quick Start video. Thanks for watching.